Alright, so let's take our first look at Italian ground forces in War Thunder. Okay. Nope, we're set to tank. Nope. Nope. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's how good Italian ground forces are in War Thunder. Even War Thunder's matchmaker doesn't identify them as ground forces. G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome to the 1.85 Dev Server 2. I was originally planning on doing Italian tanks for this particular video, but unfortunately there was a bug that would prevent Italian tanks from getting into realistic battles. Now you could get into arcade battles. Unfortunately, arcade battles, as you can see, didn't have a matchmaker, so the Italian tanks, regardless of what they were, would find themselves in battles with the likes of the T-72. The vehicle I'm driving right now, for the record, is battle rating 3.3, so there really wasn't much to be gained here, so I moved on to other vehicles. Thankfully, this was only a problem with the Italian vehicles. The other vehicles in the game worked perfectly fine, so let's take a look at the Bradley. And here she is, the Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle. Rank 6, battle rating 8.0, and I really wanted to have a good look at this one, as I have a bit of a soft spot for this machine in real life. Essentially designed by committee, the Bradley is essentially the American version of the Soviet BMP, designed as a recon vehicle, infantry transport, and when needed as a tank killer. But she has some massive drawbacks as well, but we'll come to those in a moment. Primary armament is the BGM-71B TOW anti-tank missile. The Bradley carries 10 of these missiles, with up to 2 being loaded into its launcher at any given time, with a short reload time once a pair have been fired off. The interesting thing about these missiles is that they don't need to be fired one at a time. You can fire both missiles and both will track the target. Secondary armament is the 25mm M232 cannon with 900 rounds of ammunition. Now, the cannon is almost worthless without upgrades. The default ammo only has 3mm of penetration at all ranges and angles. Yeah, that's right, 3mm. Same with the M792 ammo, which is the first upgrade, also 3mm at all ranges and angles. Now, these two ammo locks are not totally worthless, just mostly. They are effective against aircraft, but I still don't recommend them. The third ammo unlock is the M791 type. It's an APDS, 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 HEIT combination belt with 110mm of penetration at 10 meters, 95mm of penetration at 500 meters, and 69mm of penetration at 1000 meters. It's still not fantastic, but it's sufficient enough to penetrate the rear armor of some MBTs, and should be fine against most self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, while still being useful against aircraft. Now, why do I keep mentioning aircraft? Well, that's one of the more interesting parts of the Bradley. The Bradley in War Thunder is essentially a modern ATGM tank. However, it also gets a lead target indicator against hostile aircraft, like radar-guided anti-aircraft guns do, making it effective at both the role of a tank killer and as an anti-aircraft platform. Now, the rate of fire on the gun is a little low for fast-moving jets. Its range and accuracy, however, makes it sufficient against helicopters that you will encounter at this battle rating. So the Bradley is an ATGM tank with enhanced anti-air capability. Seems a little OP, so what are the drawbacks? Well, there are a couple. First to mention is its size. The total footprint of the M3 Bradley isn't really all that big, at around 6.5 meters long and 3.2 meters wide, but it's just short of 3 meters tall to the commander's hatch, so she is very tall for that footprint. There is, however, a downside and an upside to this. The downside is that it's actually rather hard to hide the Bradley from incoming fire, as her height seems to keep the top of the turret in line of sight to incoming fire. The upside is also that the turret is very easy to peek over terrain, allowing sneaky ATGM shots over low cover without exposing the core of the Bradley to enemy fire. Now, this ability is very important because the Bradley is basically a 20-ton block of butter. It has almost no armour and no internal composite. The hull is made of aluminium, and at its thickest point at the rear hatch you're looking at 44mm. The sides and the front of the hull include 6.35mm of rolled armour, but this still only gives the Bradley an effective 44mm total effective armour at the sides and 38mm to the front, with the turret being around 25mm all round. Virtually everything you face in combat can effectively penetrate the Bradley, and its small footprint means that even glancing hits will normally knock it out. Max speed fully upgraded is listed at 66 km an hour, but remember this is straight line road speed. For the most part I found that 30 to 40 km an hour to be the effective speed on most terrains, although agility was overall pretty good. The vertical guidance is also worth mentioning. -9 degrees of depression allows the Bradley to peak pretty well overall, but the 59 degrees of gun elevation is by far more important, especially when it comes to those pesky helicopters floating around. Overall, the Bradley is not a machine I would recommend for a frontline push, but as a range support and backup in a lineup behind a good MB.II, it's not horrible. Just expect to get knocked out if you're unfortunate enough to get caught in close combat range with pretty much anything you can face in combat. Anyways, ladies and gents, my time on this dev server was once again rather short. Fingers crossed the next one will have the issues with the Italian tanks solved so I can get a look in at them. Otherwise, we'll have to start taking a peek at the Italian tanks when 1.85 hits the main servers. Now, as always, it is worth mentioning, as I didn't mention it at the start, this is a development server, so everything is subject to change. What you see now may not be the case on release, but as a general rule, whenever these dev servers have gone up, the vehicles have been pretty close to locked into what they will be. Anyways guys, remember to click that like button and share and subscribe if you would like to see more, and as always, drive smart, drive safe, and I will catch you on the battlefield.